Hi there, greetings and salutations from that spectacular scene, which is chilly water adjacent to and all part of Hoagies and Hops here as we are on the north side of Indianapolis at our home away from home. Presented by Bailey & Wood, it is Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, and little peek behind the curtain from right before we began. It's a little uncomfortable, but we're sitting here in our placid silence, and Derek interrupts the silence in the air by saying, I forgot how good I look in this shirt.
Yeah, the monitor's right here, so we can kind of tell, and it's just like the pecs. Well, the blue line's kind of covering it up. Okay. Yeah, look, and then the arms look good. I think in the shoulder, it just looks like there's more mass. I think it's a little bit. I don't want to say it's an optical illusion because there's certainly mass, but like a little more than I thought, and it's like veiny, like popping out veiny. Sort of thing, like this one. Feel that one right there. Like here, touch that one with your. Okay. Let me rub it on you. There we go. You feel it? Like it pops out a little bit.
I'm sorry I said it.
It's nice. Yeah.
Bottom line is this: both of us are wearing T-shirts today. Neither one has a tag on it. That is not NFL sanctioned gear because this is the day, Derek, where the franchise tag window opens up, and that means the Colts have a decision to make. Now they don't use the tag on the regular, but they may have to this year. There are two guys I think that realistically could be in play here to be tagged. One is Daniel Jones. I think that's unlikely. The other is perhaps more likely, and that would be Alec Pierce.
Yeah, those are really the only two, right? You wouldn't consider tagging any of the other Colts free agents. And I just think when it comes to the number that you would have to pay Daniel Jones, $47 million is the number for the franchise tag. Coming off an Achilles injury, even on a one-year deal, that's not realistic to me. That's not market for Daniel Jones with where he is right now anyway. So I would also be surprised if it ended up being Jones. For Pierce, it's $29 million, which is market, wouldn't you say?
That's about
for Pierce
right.
For a new deal?
Probably high end, I would think, but pretty.
I think it's right. I don't think it's crazy high end. I think that's in the ballpark of what he would command. But I think it's important, and most people I think know this by now. This runs for a couple of weeks, so most teams don't make a decision on this until later in the window. And really what it's about is the second that you tag somebody, that doesn't mean that they're going to play on the tag in 2026, right? It just means that you can now negotiate a long-term extension without worrying about interference from other suitors.
Right.
So you have until, let me see, I put it in my notes, July 15th to come up with a multi-year extension. The last time the Colts used the tag, Jake, 2 years ago with Michael Pittman Jr., like 2 days later, they signed an extension. So they tagged him and then signed the extension. Pat McAfee, I think, was another
last
tag.
Player to play under the tag.
Yeah. Right? But in my almost
right
20 years of covering the Colts, I don't remember anybody else playing under the tag.
It's a tag.
Yeah.
My
tag
watch
Hoyer, right?
Tag, yeah. That's exactly
Are they still an IndyCar sponsor?
This is the 2021 Indy 500 Tag Hoyer.
Very, very cool.
They do one like every 5 years.
Yeah, that's a sharp one.
Well, thank you.
I went to the IMS museum with James the other day, and we saw your broadcast name. He was really excited about it.
Oh, really?
Also, there was one of the turn reporters had the first name Dick, and he was tickled by that too. But he did like seeing Jake Query's name multiple times on there.
I've not been there yet.
It's really to the museum at all?
Yeah, not since they redid it.
Oh wow, it's spectacular. Yeah, I don't want to get too off track here, but if you are in and around the Indianapolis area, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum recently did a multi-million-dollar renovation. They opened up last spring, and it is – I know sometimes we pump things up here in Indy, right, and say, oh, my God, this is the greatest. It really is amazing. I mean, it was – before it was a high school cafeteria with cars in it, and now it is – 3 levels, and there's interactive experiences. There's stuff for kids to do. Really, really neat, really fun.
Okay, that's cool.
You would love it.
I heard it's cool.
You can get in the booth and do a call, too. You can call, like, the Marco finish with Sam Hornish Jr. What were the other finishes that were on there? You could call a start of the race as well. It's actually really neat. Like,
Did you do it?
Yeah. I was Jake. I actually did it better than you called it.
Okay. That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true. Cool. Anyway, franchise tag to talk about, and we'll get into it more later in the show. And then also probably the big topic, Derek, that we should have gotten to right away, and that is, since we last talked to everybody, the NBA administering fines to both the Indiana Pacers and the Utah Jazz for essentially tanking. and saying, look, what's weird to me about this, and I'm not saying this as some sort of water carrier for the Pacers. I don't want it to come off that way. I think we all know what's going on here. However, the Pacers have won 9 of their last 18. They had just come off of winning 2 in a row on the road in New York and in Brooklyn, and then they get hit with this fine for a February 3rd game against the Utah Jazz. What I find peculiar is they said, well, you had Pascal Siakam, like, not in the lineup. That seems fishy. To me, Derek, the problem with this is this. Aside from it's kind of like handing out a speeding ticket for going 49 and a 45. But the reality, how do you say to the Pacers or to other players, how do you say to, and I can't remember if that was before or after Johnny Murphy's injury, but, how do you say to a player, well, we're fining the team because they're resting player A and putting you, player B, out there? This is the NBA. Theoretically, you're supposed to have a roster where you can feel good about whoever's on the floor. I realize there's distinct difference between starters, reserves, and et cetera. But the reality is, again, back to my point, are the Pacers in a position where they are trying desperately to hold on to one of the top 4 picks in the draft? Yes, probably. That's probably the case. But it's kind of like the old saying about, and it's attributed to Jerry Tarkanian, I have no idea who actually said it, the old saying of every time Kentucky cheats, Austin Peay gets punished harder.
Another year of probation or whatever. Yeah.
It feels that way about this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are a number of teams. I have a proposal on how to limit tanking. But before we get to that, Derek, your thoughts overall on the whole situation.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that, and I actually said this when the Pacers were in the process of beating the Knicks in overtime in New York the other night, that it really just goes against their DNA to tank. They don't tank. They never have tanked. And the fact that that game against Utah that we went to was a violation of some sort because a bunch of regulars didn't play, I think it's a little ludicrous to slap the Pacers on the wrist for that when there are other teams that really have turned tanking into a science. Look at Philadelphia in the late 2010s, right, with the process and all of that. There have been ideas stemming from going to the NFL's system of reverse ordering, just doing away with the lottery at all. Just worst team gets the first pick. I've heard about abolishing the draft, which I'm very, very hesitant about because free agency already favors the larger market teams. And I think if you got into bidding wars between the Indianas and Milwaukees of the world with the New Yorks and Miamis and LAs, I think that's just problematic. Jake, to me, you're always going to have tanking.
I have the perfect answer.
You're always going to have it. Okay, if you have the perfect solution, hit me with it.
Because
I can't think of one.
Somebody sent me a variation to this, okay? We have how many games left in the season?
25?
Okay. So with 25 games left.
Let me look to be sure on that.
Or you could say 20. Let's say with 20 games left. Whatever it may be, okay? There are 30 teams in the NBA, Derek. Is that right?
Yes.
So at a magic point, and you could pick a date, you could simply say after March 1st. We'll just say after March 1st. After March 1st, you wipe clean the standings of the NBA. Okay?
Yeah.
You wipe them clean. I don't mean for playoff. I'm talking about for the draft.
Pacers have 27 games left.
And let's just say picks 1 through 6. So the 6 worst teams after March 1st. You say, congratulations. The top 6 picks in the draft are going to be these 6 teams. We know it. You congratulations. You made your way into the room here of the suck 6. Congratulations. Then, from March 1st to the end of the year, the top overall pick goes to the best record among those 6. The second best goes to the second best record among those 6. The third, etc. So now, the teams that were tanking to get into that spot, they have to win games in order to get the number 1 overall pick.
There would be some scheduling gymnastics, though, because, let's say that the Pacers had their home and home with Washington, and it was both games were the last week of March and then the first week of April. Then suddenly, you take away that. Let's say the Pacers are fighting for a playoff spot. You take away that advantage of playing for one of the worst teams in that calendar, right? So you'd have to there'd be some regular season scheduling that would go along with that. I had actually heard that doing an in-season tournament, but having it be the lottery teams. I had heard that as a solution. And look, while I think it's kind of kitschy and all of that, I don't hate it. I don't hate that idea, Jake, because you're going to have to try to win, right? In order to get the top pick, you're going to have to try. What I do worry about, though, is that in that situation, there may be a team. The Pacers are an extreme example because of all of the injuries, not just the Halliburton injury.
A team who is there because they lost their best player.
And that's on the fringe, right? They're like the 7th or 8th worst team in the NBA, and they're like, well, we're not going to make the playoffs this year, but that's a loaded team. They just happen to have a key injury, and now they're going to play to get in that tournament and win the tournament and then get the number 1 pick. You know what I mean? Like they're going to intentionally try to play their way in there. But again, like this idea that you can just eradicate manipulation for the NBA draft, I don't think that's possible, right?
I think the biggest issue that people have, and it's perception, but perception becomes reality. And the perception is, and I'll just speak on behalf of Pacer fans, okay? The perception is they had a chance to get the number 1 overall pick when Ralph Sampson was coming out, and they lost a coin flip. They had a chance to get the number 1 overall pick when Patrick Ewing was coming out, and the perception is that there was manipulation of a frozen envelope with a bent crease in it. The Pacers have never benefited from this system. They have always been on the short end of it. They have always ended up just on the outside when they've had a good chance of getting a lottery pick or a top 3 pick or whatever. They fall to the ping pong balls go the lowest it can go, and they end up with the 8th pick, whatever else. It's never gone their way. And yet, for years, Oklahoma City, who is apparently the one that blew the whistle on all of this or raised concern to the league, Oklahoma City is one that built the roster. Now, you have to be able to cash in on the picks, and they get credit there. But Oklahoma City was stockpiling lottery picks for years and was intentionally, I mean, they sucked forever, right?
Yeah.
And it paid off for them. And then you have teams like the Clippers that theoretically have done this for off and on. Brooklyn's done this off and on. The Knicks have done it from time to time. So why do those teams not get penalized and suddenly, lowly, Indianapolis and Salt Lake City do?
Yeah, I can understand why that's a problem. Because when you think of tanking franchises, you don't think of Utah and Indiana.
Right.
Yeah, I 100%. And I understand that the frustration, even if that specific instance was technically a violation because they rested everybody, right? I mean, that was a G League game that we went to.
Is your watch matching your T-shirt?
What do you mean?
The band on your watch looks like it. Oh, maybe it's the light.
It's just the light. It's black, or it's like a very faded black because I've kind of put this thing through the ringer. And I wash it. I get wrist sweat sometimes. So I get sweaty.
Wrist sweat?
Yeah. I get sweaty. You get sweaty?
Does that remind you of the Trumbull High days?
It's a little damp. A little bit. I can't help it. I've done prescription level antiperspirant, and the smell is actually really good. Even when I don't use it, the smell, I have a natural musk that's very appealing, but I can get rid of the smell if I have to, or mask the musk, which I don't really like doing.
I will tell you this,
but I can't stop it from just
not to buy into your disgusting,
dripping like a faucet.
Yeah, I don't mean to like buy into your disgusting perspiration talk, but I will tell you this. This is kind of almost breaking news. I am now down to the final stick of deodorant that I bought at the wholesale club like 3 years ago.
Would you buy like 300 sticks or something?
I bought like a brick of 24. I'm like, this is exactly what I need. And then I'll be honest with you, you kind of get to a point even with deodorant where you're like, am I really doing the same one? Like you almost want to mix it up a little bit, right?
And I even try to do that because I was like, maybe my pits will forget and they'll to keep my pits on. It's like when you grow, you rotate crops, right? Like beans and corn, and you rotate. I've tried to rotate deodorants and antiperspirants to see, but my body is just like it's a powerhouse, as you can kind of see, but there are drawbacks to that. There are cons that come with that. We have a whole linen closet that just has toiletries, basically. We have 12 tubes of toothpaste.
What's the way to do it, though? Because here's the thing. This is my number one economy tip. At the beginning of the year, on New Year's Day is a perfect time to do this. You go to the store and you buy what you estimate to be an ample supply, a year's supply of toothpaste, shampoo, deodorant, and maybe even laundry detergent. The reason why, Derek, is because those are the items that you say, like, oh, I got to run by the store real quick and just get toothpaste. And then you walk out of there and you spend $84 on other stuff. So you decrease the number of impulse buys over the course of the year when you have that advanced ahead of time.
Yeah, and another thing that I can recommend while we're doing this, we're bouncing all around on today's show. One of the best things I ever bought was a chest freezer for our basement. And so I buy meats that are on sale. So, like, if chicken thighs, boneless thighs, ground chuck, sausages,
how long does stuff
bacon,
stay in a freezer?
A lot of stuff holds up pretty well, but we always eat it within, I don't know, 2 or 3 months or something like that. But I'll get stuff when it goes on sale per pound, and then I'll buy like 6 pounds of it, and then I'll individually wrap it in Saran wrap, put it in Ziploc freezer bags, and then deep freeze it in the freezer.
That seems very detailed.
The only thing that doesn't really hold up is fish. Fish you kind of have to have fresh, but the rest of it, like chicken especially, you can freeze that for 2-3 months and be fine.
Haven't you heard about the guy that buys the parrot that's profane?
Pork chops.
Guy buys a parrot.
Yeah.
Brings it home. Parrot won't stop cussing. Mm-hmm. The guy says, listen, I don't know what your background was or where you were raised, but that's inappropriate language. Parrot doesn't stop. Finally, he says, listen, you're going to be punished if you continue to do this. Parrot keeps doing it. So he says, I warned you. You're a tropical bird. You're used to warm climate, so you're going to learn your lesson. You're going to spend 2 minutes in the penalty box. Puts him in the freezer for 2 minutes. Pulls him out. Says, did you learn your lesson? Parrot says, I did. I'll never do it again. He says, okay. And he goes, but I got to ask. He says, what? He goes, what the heck did the chicken do?
I can't tell if this is the best or the worst show that we've ever done, but it's
You wanted to laugh. You wanted to laugh. You don't want to admit it, but you're going to tell that to your kid later.
Yeah, no, I'm
It's
not gonna...
better. It's a better joke if you drop in expletives.
Oh, I bet it is, but we can't. Actually, we could really do that if we wanted to. I'm just not comfortable doing that on this show. Like, we don't have the FCC or anything to worry about.
You did swear once on the show, but that's okay.
I swear about Hoagies and hops.
So we got to the NBA. But how much of the All-Star Game weekend did you watch? I know this was a big part of your life growing up.
0.
I have a theory
0.
here, Derek. I have a theory.
Yeah. I forgot it was even happening.
I want people to tell me if I'm wrong about this, okay? And I truly do appreciate that people continue to listen to and watch this program. Honestly, I do. And I appreciate that, Bailey and Wood, the very best when it comes to your mortgage and making sure you have the best mortgage and that you're keeping your money local and that it's also helping out, organizations around town because they're philanthropic. It's very much appreciated. Hoagies and Hops, it goes without saying how much we appreciate and take pride in Christina, having allowing us to come in here and making us fabulous sandwiches. And it's the very best of all of us is Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water. I mean, they're fabulous places. IU India and the Horizon League have been very, very good to us, and Chateau Kitchens. There are a number of sponsors that I'm happy that they're on board with us, and all of you who watch. And with all of that said, Derek, this is one of those things, one of those epiphanies that just came to me in the last couple of weeks, from the Super Bowl into the All-Star weekend. I just feel like we now live in an era where we have become so conditioned to watching things on our time. Hey, what show are you watching these days? Well, I'm watching Landman. I'm watching Ted Lasso. I'm watching, whatever it might be, right? And sometimes people will say, I'm watching House of Cards. You're like, oh, gosh, that was like 7 years ago. Well, I know, but I just downloaded it, whatever. People are beginning to consume entertainment on their time, on their schedule, and on their calendar. And as a result of that, appointment viewing has become less and less, and network television viewing has become less and less. And it seems to me that this has bled over into a lack of consistency of consumer viewing of television, of live televised events. Like, the Olympics are a little bit different, and maybe that plays into this, right? But over the weekend, we had the Daytona 500, and we had the NBA All-Star Weekend. Those are two events that for a long time were circled on the American calendar.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, I think there are a lot of people that don't even realize that either one happened this weekend.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think our consumption habits have changed. And I know that the All-Star ratings were way up, but they had the Olympics as a lead-in. And I think that
right.
cooked the books a
and
little bit.
It was a different.
And I think NBC knew that was going to cook the books because this was their first year to get the All-Star game, right? And NBC, to their credit, NBC put a lot of resources into promoting the fact that they're the NBA the NBA is back on NBC, right? But the game 2 years ago, I covered that game for the IBJ, and I've been to Old Oak and Bucket games between 3-win Purdue and 2-win Indiana. I've been to basketball games in gyms that had 20 people in them. I sat through the Troy Murphy and Mike Dunleavy era with the Pacers. The most disappointed I have ever been at a live sporting event was the 2024 NBA All-Star Game here. It was a sham mockery. I mean, it was a joke. The game was a joke. The atmosphere sucked.
Yeah, there's no juice, right?
It was terrible. And I was so geeked up and excited because, you know, me, like I told you, Matt Stolman and I we'd sleep over at each other's houses. We would take notebooks and we would track the slam dunk contest scores. This is before the internet. And we would watch the 3-point contest, and we would make a whole weekend out of just consuming all NBA all the time. And I was trying to channel like 10-year-old me at All-Star Weekend, and I'm sitting there watching the game, and I was like, this sucks.
I mean, my impression would be during the NBA All-Star Game, watching it live, that at any point after the first 3 minutes of the game, you could hear the conversation of people 28 rows away from you.
And that's what, outside of when Halliburton had that flurry where he hit like 5 threes in a row, that was the only time people were kind of semi into it. It was a really bad game. And I saw there were a bunch of seats at LA. It's prohibitively expensive that were empty at the Intuit Dome. And I don't know. I think we need to retire the slam dunk contest. I think it's just time. Every great dunk has been done. You've got these players that nobody has ever heard of.
I don't even know who won the dunk contest. Do you know?
Yeah, it was Rashad something from the Heat, and it was the most meh winning dunk in NBA history. I mean, just super meh. And he does a dance at the end. And look, I'm glad that he's into it. I'm not anti-dancing. The TikTok dances and stuff like that, like, I'm fine with it. I'm 43, so that's not really targeted towards me. But I think we need to retire the slam dunk contest too.
Fair.
I didn't watch any of it outside of seeing some of those clips. And, you know, the NBA has a lot going for it right now. I still think the product is great. But the core issue is not tanking. The core issue is that the season is too long. 82 games is too long. And you're not going to stop people from
a lot of
sitting.
people, it begins at Christmas, right?
And you're not going to stop, weeks and even in some cases months of tanking until you shorten the season. It needs to at least get down to 70 games, and then we can kind of go from there. But nobody's going to be willing to sacrifice even $2 million of earnings when it comes to the owners or the players in this conversation.
You know, the NBA, and maybe it's because we live in Indiana, Derek, but it does feel like the NBA is starting to tick and trend a little bit more towards, aside from the All-Star weekend, but in terms of interest level, that it's increased a little bit. And college basketball, to me, seems down. And I guess that's because of the fact that it's becoming more difficult to know where players are and how long they're going to be there and et cetera, even though there are elite players in this year's college basketball game.
Maybe because I'm just a dork, but I actually think college basketball is trending up because there seems to be so much parity right now.
I would agree with that. You know who might be the best team in the country?
Iowa State?
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to think of somebody a little bit off brand. Yeah, I would say that you have, and I've said this before on the show, you have something like a dozen to 15 teams that could realistically win the whole thing. And that's not usually the case. Usually there are like 6 to 8. So I think you double the usual amount of teams that can win it all.
This hat looks awesome.
Yeah, it does. It looks sharp. It doesn't fit on my head. It doesn't fit right.
Shocker. This is the IU Indy foam cowboy hat.
Are you ready for a Hoagie here of the week?
Sure.
I've got it right over here. Hold on. I think I have enough slack. Do I have enough slack to do this? Oh, look, I can talk the whole time. Sweet. So you can still hear me?
Well, this hat looks really cool.
Look at this.
This is fabulous.
Yum.
Right here.
Ray, can we get some I'm going to do the Jake Query thing. Can we get some napkins? This is what Jake does to servers.
I've never done that. Where have I ever done that?
San Antonio. You did it to the server. She was super slow and inattentive, though.
Okay.
I mean, in your defense. Oh, we got the beers, too. I forgot about the beers. Yeah, don't want to forget about the beers.
Comfortably numb, the pale ale,
amazing?
right? What's that?
This smells amazing.
It does.
Got the foil. Christina's so nice. She put foil on top of it so it would stay cool for us. What we have here is a hot sando, and this is a Zaire cheesesteak named after Zaire Franklin, the Colts linebacker, Philly guy, Philly native. So we have some, of course, delicious shaved ribeye, which is awesome. Delicio's South Jersey bread. Jordan, you zoomed in while I was eating, and I thought
This is
that I was very clear about that I didn't want that to happen, but maybe that was a one-time mistake. There you go. Philly right there. Christina making a cameo. We have some Cooper American. This is the sharp American cheese from PA, which is really, really good as well. It's a little bit different from the Whiz. We have some ketchup and yellow mustard. I'll be honest, that's not what I would choose on my cheesesteak. That's what Zaire chooses. Unlike Jake, I don't do additions, subtractions. Yo, napkins. There we go. Salt, pep as well. And I don't remember. There's no mayo, right? It's just ketchup and mustard for the condiments. And is it wit? Onions on this? No onions as well. See, I would have, okay, I said no addition, subtraction. I would do onions.
Literally, I'm telling you.
This is your go-to order, right?
The Zaire is the best sandwich in Indianapolis. It's the best sandwich in Indianapolis. I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking about where to go for lunch, dinner, whatever it might be, if you're listening to my voice, you need to go over to 42nd and Boulevard and go into Hoagies and Hops and ask for the Zaire. The cheese literally melts like into the meat. It is super soft and tender. The meat is. The flavor is absolutely perfect. And then you can wash it down with you don't need to wash it down, but enjoy it and complement it with the Comfortably Numb, which is the pale ale from Chili Water. Chili Water, Fountain Square, but right here at 42nd Boulevard as well.
That is a good – I don't think I've ever had the Cooper cheese. I like it. I'm not usually an American cheese guy.
Comfortably Numb is comfortably smooth is what that is. Perfect.
I'm an all-cheese enjoyer for the most part, except brie. I don't like brie. Tastes weird to me, but there's no brie sandwiches here. Yeah, as Jake said, Comfortably Numb. Look at the bricks, too. Kind of matches the bricks on the backsplash here behind the bar, Chili Water Brewing.
Perfect.
Ooh, super hoppy. That gets you up in the morning. Not that I'm saying you should be drinking a pale ale at 8 a.m. like we're doing right now, but that's good.
Smooth.
Hero of the week. So I kind of struggled with this one. I didn't think that there was a queer winner. I haven't watched enough Olympics coverage to pick one of the gold medal. I'm sure there's a gold medal story that's great that maybe I'm missing on. But we did IU last week, Nick Dorn, who, by the way, he's missed 24 of his last 28 shots.
I was going to say, he's
over the last 4 games. So if you were wondering if this was sustainable for Nick Dorn, it looks like that 4-game set that he went on a tear on was more of an aberration than anything else. I think a guy kind of like Nick Dorn, who has operated somewhat in the background but is crucial to Purdue's success, I gave it to C.J. Cox. Hit several big threes down the stretch at Nebraska. He did miss a pair of free throws, which almost cost them the game. They're late, but they were able to survive in overtime. And then at the beginning of the second half against Iowa, if Iowa was going to have any chance at all in that game, they had to win the first 5 minutes of that second half, and Cox hit a couple of threes and just basically buried them. Never gave the Hawkeyes a shot. Jakari Harris made a bunch of key plays as well. I think he could have gone in that direction. But to me, Jake, Purdue's success is all about Cox and Harris and Jack Benter and, Daniel Jacobson getting good minutes from him. Omer Meyer. I think it's as much about what their supporting cast does as it is about the big three with Smith and Kaufman, Wren, and Lawyer, because I think they'll go as far as the sum of the parts takes them. Because as good as Braden Smith is, as good as Trey Kaufman-Wren is, and as productive as Fletcher Lawyer has been for 4 years, I don't know if any of those guys are really true, take over the game type players. There's no Keaton Wagler, right, with Purdue. And so I still think it's about, even though Braden Smith was the only reason that Houston didn't win by 40 points last year in the Sweet 16 game. I think it's about the supporting cast for Purdue.
I think the thing that makes Purdue what Purdue is, Derek, is the fact that they do have a number of players that can step up in games like that and get in rhythm. But oftentimes, like with Illinois, you just mentioned, Illinois late in the game, everyone knows where the ball's going. And sometimes you need that guy, the get out of my way guy. What Purdue has is not necessarily a design to get out of the way guy, but guys that are capable of being that guy, but they have a facilitator that can select which one it's going to be late in games and get them the ball effectively in Braden Smith. Now, Braden Smith has probably not had the consistency or the level of play over the course of the year that was expected of him going into the year, but nonetheless, still an elite level player and a top. I don't think he's going to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
No, me neither.
But But a big one for the Boilers coming up as they now take on Michigan, who, interesting because when you talk about just overall scoring and the way that a team wants to play, Michigan is more of a down low, front court level scoring team. Yeah. And, and Purdue's going to have to find a way to balance that, but it's a big one.
Yeah, you got so many teams in this league. God, Illinois is this way too, that you just look at the matchup and you're like, how do you guard these guys?
Correct.
And I think Michigan is another team that's just like that, where you're just like, how do you can't stop them. How do you limit them enough to win the game? And if Purdue is going to have a chance to win the Big Ten, they essentially have to win out starting tonight against Michigan. And by the time you're watching this, that game will be wrapping up because it's an early tip. I think it's a 6:30 tip.
It's fabulous.
And then they've got IU on Friday, which is no easy task. Indiana's been a matchup problem for even these really good Purdue teams over the last couple of years. So big week for Purdue, big closing kick. Big closing kick for Indiana as well, Jake. I mean, I think they're in a very good spot right now. Right now they are safely in the field, but you don't want to go like 1-5, or I think they have 5 games left, so 1-4 over your final 5 and put yourself in a really tough spot.
By the way, we do have the IU Indy Jags report coming up later in the show, but didn't want to leave them out because IUIndyJags.com/tickets, Division I athletics right here in Central Indiana. So as we talk about things going on with the Big Ten and whatever else, keep in mind Horizon League has a new commissioner. IU Indy is, we'll just say, the anchor team, at least speaking in terms of us locally here, and we will get you caught up on not only some cool stuff happening in basketball for IU Indy and swimming and diving, but also tennis as well coming up later in the show, Derek. How is it Comfortably Numb? You're pounding that down.
It's good.
It's very good.
Yeah, very, very good.
Smooth.
Very smooth, hoppy. It wakes you up a little bit. We come back on the show, back into the Colts conversation, franchise tags, our college hoops roundup, and as Jake said, plenty more to get to. It's Query and Schultz, episode 274, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
One more to Cincinnati. Right? What? 275?
518, isn't that Cincinnati?
No, 513 is the area code.
513, that's what it is.
275 is the bypass.
I don't usually take that. I don't think. What does 74 go into?
Cincinnati.
What is 74? What road does 74 go into?
Well, it depends on where you exit.
Okay, just forget it.
74 goes. Derek, you should know this by now. Any sort of, you go into a city, if it's a 3-numbered interstate that begins with a 2, 4, or 6, that means that it is a bypass that is intersected by the last 2 numbers. So 275 is a bypass going around Cincinnati, intersected by 75, which would be why it's 275.
Besides Trumbull and Bridgeport, Connecticut, Route 25. Shout out to anybody that's been on Route 25 before. The fastest I've ever driven on any road is I-74 to Cincinnati. I have never once seen a cop out let me correct myself. I've never once seen a cop on the Indiana side of 74. Ohio, once you cross it there, you got to be careful. But I-74 in Indiana, when you're going through like Shelbyville and all those towns, and like not quite a hundo, but you can get close.
Okay.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Not that you should drive that.
Highway 9 off Shelbyville and 74, by the way. Shout out to that as well. That's my I-25.
That's the horse track is right over there, right? Isn't that the same exit?
It's just before Highway 9,
okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're coming back on the show, and we're going to talk about more stuff. I tried to transition out of this, and Jake kept doing stupid stuff. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, coming to you from Hoagies and Hops in Chilliwater at 42nd and Boulevard. And you see my fabulous hat right here. Howdy, partner, from IU Indy. That's a good-looking hat, isn't it? The foam cowboy hat. Mm-hmm. That means it's time for our IU Indy Jags report. Again, IUIndyJags.com/tickets is your ticket source for Division I athletics right here in Central Indiana, and a number of sports taking place right now, kind of at the confluence here of winter and spring sports. So let's get right to it with big news for the Jags. Here's my Jag right here, right? They had a huge weekend in men's tennis. That's right, in men's tennis, because Ball State is admittedly kind of a regional power, if you will, right? IU Indy goes in. They take on Ball State. Owen Wynn is just a freshman. Just a freshman, but his last name is Wynn, and that's exactly what he did. Came back from 3 match points to clinch a victory as a freshman for IU Indy over Ball State, their first ever win over the Cards. Chirp, chirp to Ball State. But the men's tennis program now taking on UIC Saturday at noon. This Saturday at noon at the West Indy Racket Club, and here's the best part about it. You heard me give the website for IU Indy, iundyjags.com/tickets. You don't even need the website when it comes to the men's tennis. You can go out to Indy West Racket Club and watch them for free. Noon on Saturday against UIC, coming off of a huge win, 4-3 over Ball State. And you can see Owen Wynn, the freshman, partaking there for IU Indy. So congratulations to the men's tennis program. Now, let's get to basketball, and we'll begin with men's hoops, who had 3 really tight games. Again, we talked about the fact that they're still learning that system, feeling each other out. 3 tight games this week. They took on Milwaukee, Northern Kentucky, and Purdue Fort Wayne. McGuire Mitchell averaged 16.5 points over the course of the week. He had 23 against Milwaukee, but unfortunately not able to get a win. But it is the final road trip of the season. They are at Wright State coming up this week. And then they return back home for Fan Appreciation Night, February 25th against Oakland. Giveaways throughout the course of the game, February 25th against Oakland in the Jungle. And then on the 28th, they wrap things at home against Purdue Fort Wayne. So the 25th, 28th of February, mark your calendar, iundyjags.com/tickets. And again, Fan Appreciation Night will be on the 25th. All right, for women's hoops, taking a look at things. You look at it right here. They split a homestand by beating Oakland and then dropping a close game, 69-65 to Youngstown State. Destiny Craig had a double-double with 13 and 10. And you always know that Nevaeh Foster is going to be a leading scorer. She was in that game. But they are at Cleveland State coming up 7 o'clock on the 19th. Then the final home game is going to be on the 22nd in the Jungle, Senior Day versus Detroit for the Jags, as you see him right there. That right there is efficient offense.
Yeah, I'm just watching. Sorry, I'm kind of doing play-by-play as she's doing the play-by-play.
Yeah, it wasn't annoying at all.
This is crazy, dude. Look at this. Watch, bang.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell, like
I told you, offensive.
It's a highlight, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to miss. But like, you could tell off her hand, like that's like the Jordan shrug. Like,
this week,
you can't stop me.
The Jungle is right across from the Natatorium, all in the same complex. And this week, Wednesday through Sunday, it is the Horizon League Championships for swimming and diving for IU Indy and the rest of the Horizon League. Wednesday through Sunday, all at the Natatorium. Again, tickets for all of it. iundyjags.com/tickets.
I think I could have been – I was a really good swimmer as a kid, and I think I could have been a competitive swimmer. But I stopped later in life.
There's no way that you were a competitive swimmer.
No, I said I could have been you're not – put your listening ears on. I could have been a competitive swimmer.
Okay,
The problem is that when I started, like, noticing changes with my body, a lot of the swimmers – went all, clean, right? And so there was a lot of drag for, like, you don't get into the pool with this because these little curly strands could be a couple of tenths of a second or a couple of hundredths of a second. Like, these hundreds of strands could be hundredths of a second. That really cost you.
Have you heard about this? The ski jumpers?
What do you mean? Oh, yes, I did hear about this. Inflating their or enlarging their
I don't understand
parts of their body.
What's the benefit of this? So the men.
Yeah, I did hear about this.
So you get a suit that is custom designed, like for aerodynamics, and so they are falsifying the girth of certain areas with an injection, and so that when they're fitted for the suit, so then what's the advantage there? Wouldn't that create more like loose suit later?
Makes it more aerodynamic.
Aerodynamic would be like form fitting. So why would you falsify?
Well, more weight, so you can get faster. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the science behind it.
I saw during the Olympics, Derek. Let me ask you this: my every 4-year question for you. And we'll go with Winter Olympics. Give me the Winter Olympic sport that you watch it and you're like, I don't care how long you gave me to train. There's zero way I could do that.
Oh my God! Anything involving cross-country skiing.
Okay.
So, like, isn't there one where they like sprint? they
They have one,
run in
did you see
cross-country
the one where
skis?
everybody that finishes, as soon as they finish, they collapse?
I'm just like, the
that
human
looks like fun.
body cannot be meant to do
Okay.
that.
How about the one? I saw this last night. I don't even know what it's called. And I don't even know if this is the requirement or if it was like a style point thing. It was some sort of a ski jump, like kind of a cross between ski jump and half pipe. But the skiers were skiing backward. They ski backward and off of a slope and then go into the air and do like twists and turns and then land on 2 skis.
How about the one where the horsies pull them?
What?
What's that called? What's it? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's a skiing event where
Well, that's
I'm not making up.
The horse is doing
you're
all the
pulled
work.
by a horse. There's a dude on a horse and they pull you on the skis.
Well,
Yeah.
what's the? So the horse gets the gold medal for winning first? Is that
I don't know how that works. Yeah, I don't know.
How about the? So I watched the ski thing, which made me very nervous, and then the cross country ski where they got to stop and shoot.
Yeah.
I mean that's cool, but like, where do you when is the tryouts for this?
When do you learn that you're good at that?
Correct.
too? That's the
And
other
where
thing.
do you
Yeah.
practice it?
It almost feels like
I
an
was
NBA halftime
I was
show.
at Eagle Creek yesterday, and some guy was just running along, and I'm hoping he was doing the biathlon because he was just skiing and then stopping and shooting stop signs.
Yeah.
What?
That'd be problematic, probably,
Yeah.
if you attempted to do that at Eagle Creek. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Jake, outside of curling, there's no Olympic event that I look at and I'm like, if you trained me enough, I could probably do this
We
adequately.
did the curling, remember?
I know.
It was fun.
And not to take away from curling, because there's a science behind curling. I'm not saying that I'd be a good curler, but at least I could probably physically
Big
curl.
scandal with curling, Derek. Big
Whereas,
scandal
yeah, I
this year.
saw the touching,
The
right?
Canadian fellow's been pushing that
And
little.
he was profane in talking to the
He
Swedish
was.
guy.
He
I
Well,
couldn't believe it.
the Swedish fella didn't know what was going on because he doesn't speak the Swedish.
Yeah,
He
I
wasn't
mean,
speaking
it's
to him
all,
in that,
yeah.
That he if you saw it, the Canadian fella dropped 4 F-bombs, and then the guy he said it to just went
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what you know what I mean? They had meatballs, and then everything was good. Some maple meatballs.
That's
just
great.
combined both worlds
Is
together.
that your favorite Muppet, Swedish Chef?
No,
Beaker's my favorite.
Fozzie.
Oh, that's too easy, though.
Waka
That's,
waka waka.
Yeah, like,
Waka waka waka.
come on, man.
Fozzie's the vice president.
What's your
He's-
favorite band? Rolling Stones. Okay, like you choose the most obvious
Okay,
one.
if
Like,
you're
come
going-
on.
So we're
Give
going
me a
outside.
deeper cut than Fozzie.
Okay. I like the fella that's okay. Who's the little stagehand fella? Scooter.
Yeah,
He's kinda
That's
cool.
a good one. All right,
Scooter's
yeah.
cool.
See, okay, now
And
we're
then
talking.
Who's the guy with the band leader with the gold tooth?
Oh, I don't know if I know that one.
Can you picture that? Can you picture that? That guy. You know him. He's got the gold tooth.
I don't know that one.
He's got to keep Animal in line. Then you got the girl that looks like Janis Joplin with the big mouth. He heads them all up. He's cool.
I have a crown. I was thinking about making that tooth gold. There's a fake tooth back here.
You have a fake tooth?
Yeah.
What happened to the real one?
Internal resorption. I either the dentist or the orthodontist was like, "Hey, did you get punched in the face?" And I said, "Not recently." And
Okay.
and it just kind of like melted down on itself.
And this happened when?
This was like 10, 15 years ago. So then I got a root canal and they put a crown on it, but then the crown started chipping. They were like, "Are you eating any hard candy?" And I was like, "No."
What?
And so
You eat Jolly Ranchers like popcorn.
no, I know. Yeah, and I think I chipped the crown, so they put in a fake tooth.
Hey, what did you do for Valentine's Day?
No, okay. Let's get back to the. We need to
Nobody
like have
cares.
a show.
Nobody cares about the franchise.
We
tag.
need to
Nobody
have a
cares.
show.
Nobody cares. People are like, look, Jake, I'm on NFL hiatus. Thank you for not talking about the NFL.
I actually saw a friend of yours on my Valentine's date. It was a very low key
I actually
date
know about this.
with my wife. So Ash's favorite thing to do is not go to a fancy dinner. It's to go to a hole in the wall ethnic joint. And so we went to Swazity to go, which is delicious, up by the Kroger. It's in the same strip mall as the Kroger on Keystone.
That's where I used to feed the Kroger
60. What would that be? 67th?
64th.
Okay, 60. Yeah, something north of Broad Ripple Avenue, right? But you're going up there. There's the Crew Car Wash, and then there's a Kroger, and then there's a little. I mean, it's a 200 square foot room probably. Mom and pop shop with their daughter, and they make Thai food, and it's incredible. They have the best lunch specials in town.
Can I ask a dumb question?
And I saw Michael Young in there, track dude Michael Young.
What I'm going to show my ignorance, so
Yeah.
I'm being serious. The the cuisine, Thai food is defined as what? Like what is the flavor of it? Is it super spicy?
It can be, but you can choose to get it mild, which is usually what I do because I don't like the super like I'm dying while I'm eating this level stuff. But it's it's standard like Asian food fare like noodles and things like that. But there's also like really great curries and soups, and when the weather, I know today's like upper 50s, but when it's freezing outside, there's nothing better than like hot Thai food, like pad Thai. You've probably had that before. I know your palate's not as extensive as mine, but I love like green and red curry. I love Vietnamese soup. I love drunken noodles. I love all that stuff.
I went, for Valentine's Day. We did not go on Valentine's Day, but on Sunday, Shannon found this. There was the commemorative anniversary release of a popular 80s movie.
Oh, wow.
That they were showing in the theater. I don't know for how long they're re-showing it, but they were showing it. And so she's like, do you want to go? I had never seen this movie. I had never seen it. And we go to the movie. It's a cult classic mid-'80s movie. It's surprising I'd never seen it. We go to the movie. We sit down. At the end of the movie, I look over. Shannon is bawling. She's openly weeping. I mean, wiping her eyes, blubber face, like can barely talk. And I said, oh, I guess I misunderstood. I was under the impression you also that you had seen this. I didn't realize you also had never seen this. She looks right at me and goes, I've seen it like 100 times. What movie am I talking about, Derek?
16 Candles.
Very close. Very close. It is the story of a guy like you that is the perpetual friend zone, totally obnoxious, geeky dork, artsy kid that you're supposed to think he's like super cool.
Pretty in Pink?
Yes. And then Molly
Are you impressed, by the way?
Have you seen Pretty in Pink?
Yeah, aren't you a little bit impressed?
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Now I
That's
thought about
good.
this. This is the way my weird brain works, Derek. This is what's interesting to me. And maybe I'm age biased here, okay? But 1986, Pretty in Pink came out. That was 40 years ago. 40 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Okay? Now, that was, so that movie, Pretty in Pink, and then you lump it with 16 Candles, Breakfast Club. Maybe you could put Vacation in that mix too because Anthony Michael Hall was in those. But either way, in 1986, Pretty in Pink was a movie that was being released. The epicenters of college basketball surrounded Bob Knight and Lou Carnesecca and John Thompson and Dean Smith. The NBA, the stars of the NBA were Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins. The stars of the NFL were John Elway, Dan Marino. And the stars of music were Madonna, Michael Jackson, Prince, and then Simple Minds and Tears for Fears. I say all of that to say this. In 1986, I didn't see anywhere any reference to, I shouldn't say anywhere, but athletic stars of 1946 were, okay. I couldn't tell you a single musical act of 1946. I couldn't tell. Now, I realize it's because you're coming off of the war. I get that. I totally get that. The entire country shut down its pop culture for a 4-year period in a united effort. I totally understand that. But even 10 years after that, 1956, I mean, Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle you heard about, but it just seemed like we reached some point where we were creating pop cultural stuff that was far more evergreen than its predecessors. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I do think that sometimes you can only view things in your own prism, sort of like how you're the main character in your own story. But I do think that there's something to the fact that you've said this before about Michael Jackson. That was the last evergreen. Everybody knows who he is. I mean, Taylor Swift maybe comes close because she's such a big megastar, but that was kind of the last era of, you pull up to the stoplight in Indianapolis in 1990. And the dude in the car next to you on both sides is laughing because they're all listening to Bob and Tom just like you are.
Correct.
That stuff, we have become so – it's why podcasts are a big deal. It's why
except for this one.
20-something people that listen to this show still love this show, and thank you guys for doing that. It's because everything has become so a la carte. You can just pick and choose what you want.
That's correct.
And hyper-focus on your own interests.
Because I made this point before. The difference between Taylor Swift and Michael Jackson, I don't dispute Taylor Swift's popularity, no question. It would be foolish to do so. But this is just my belief.
It crosses racial lines the way that Michael Jackson
Well,
did.
and here's the other thing. In 1983, an 88-year-old woman absolutely knew Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller. She knew all 3 songs hands down. I don't know how many 88-year-old women walking around can name a Taylor Swift song. They know who she is.
Yeah.
But they don't know her songs the way everyone knew mine.
And I don't
because
think
it's not the monoculture of ingestion.
And I think with Michael Jackson, it was white people, black people, all
For
colors,
sure.
all races, all
sure.
all creeds. Whereas I think Taylor Swift is largely a female-led, white-led sort of thing, right? Don't you? Even though I think she
Yes,
is. Don't get me wrong, she's the biggest star in the world right now.
I would agree.
And there are people of other cultures that enjoy Taylor Swift. I just think Michael Jackson is here, and she'd be
That
more like.
sandwich was fantastic.
Well, like here was really good, right? We come back. We've only got like 10 minutes left in the show because you've been rambling about nonsense. Quick hits. Brought to you by our friends at Horizon League. We got Chateau Kitchen's Buyer Bowl Belief to get to as well. It's Query and Schultz from Hoagies and Hops, Chili Water Tap Room, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we
Quick hits brought to you by our friends at the Horizon League, horizonleague.org for tickets on the men's and women's basketball championships presented by Barbasol, coming up less than a month away, March 8th through 10th. Jake, we've only got 3 weeks left in the Power 5 regular season. We've only got 2 weeks, essentially, for the mid-major leagues.
Speaking of that, let me ask you this.
And the Horizon League at Corteva Coliseum is always awesome.
Go ahead, and then because I don't want to, because I do love the Horizon League
March 8th through
Championships.
10th, basketball championships brought to you by Barbasol. Tickets available, horizonleague.org.
And keep in mind, the best thing about the Horizon League tournament, not only that it takes place right here in town, not only that, and I don't know if you knew this or not, Derek, the Horizon League, this is a fun fact.
Yeah.
You seen the new Tony Kuritzis movie that's out?
I saw that there is one. I have not seen it.
The Meridian Mortgage building where Dick Hall worked is actually the building that now houses the Horizon League headquarters.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is that the one that we went up to? Remember when we did that meeting with them?
Yes.
Okay, we did that video.
Locally based, the Horizon League. And the best thing about the Horizon League championships at the Coliseum, not just your chance to go out and see, Division I college basketball being played, men's and women's, also the first ticket punched for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And that's always the fun thing about it, to see who is the first one to get in and to see fans from different areas. And Robert Morris usually has a good showing of fans that show up in Detroit Mercy and Youngstown and all of them. It's super fun, no question
And
about
it's
it.
still loco. There's no teams from California in the Horizon League that are in the Horizon League or are going to be in the Horizon League. I'm not casting dispersions on any other Midwestern-based leagues, but it's a league that makes sense. So congratulations to the Horizon League for that. Actually, speaking of leagues that may be welcoming a team from California, how about those Miami of Ohio Redhawks? They are the nation's last unbeaten at 25-0. And the reason why that's relevant to audiences here, even though, do you have friends? I mean, I had a couple of buddies that went to Miami of Ohio and loved it.
Yeah.
It's an excellent school, correct?
Yes.
Like a high-end school. They're led by a former Carmel star in Pete Suter, Indiana All-Star, former Indiana State champion. And their head coach, Travis Steele, is a Danville native and a Butler grad, whose first job was as a grad assistant, or not a grad assistant, a team manager for Thad Matta way back in the day, 25 years ago at Butler.
Derek, multiple assistant coaches also with Indiana ties.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan Holmes, J.R. Holmes' son, there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Ton of them that are over there.
Lots of Indiana, but they're up in the top 20 of the latest top 25 polls, but they do have a difficult game. In fact, it's in progress right now against UMass tonight on the road, a team that they beat only by 2 points a few weeks ago. Congratulations to Sloan May. She is the National High School Player of the Year. She flipped her commitment from Michigan to IU.
Nice.
How about that? Indiana produced the National Soccer Player of the Year. That's pretty cool. Originally committed to Michigan, and her coach resigned in January, leading her to reopen her recruitment. This is kind of cool. Her dad played football at IU. Her mom is an IU alum, and her great-uncle, Gordon May, was one of 10 black IU football players who boycotted a practice in 1969 to protest racial injustice. All those athletes were dismissed, and the group later became known as the IU 10. Kind of a cool part of and not a rosy part of Indiana history, right? But like a neat part that, her great uncle was part of that. And then finally, U.S.-Canada. It's the game that everybody wants to see again. Women's hockey rivalry is set for the gold medal game on Thursday. Thanks to their wins, the U.S. blew out Sweden, and the Canadians won their semifinal match.
Sweden.
And it'll be the 7th time that the two nations have met in women's hockey since the sport debuted in 1998. Americans a healthy favorite. They have ceded just one goal, uno, in their undefeated run so far in Italy, including a 5-1 blowout of Canada earlier this month.
This foam cowboy hat does look
Yeah, you
cool.
really like that. Why don't you take that home with you?
It's pretty cool.
We come back on the show, Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bold Leap, and we will wrap this thing up. It's Corey and Schultz presented by Bailey Wood Financial Group here on ISC.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgages in a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgages in a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Great shows presented by Bailey. Can I just say, Jake, it'll never stop being surreal to me to look up on a TV screen at the bar, and it's just 8:30 a.m. whatever on a Tuesday, and there's a picture of an Indiana University football player.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Like how is this being talked about? That'll never feel normal to me. I want to give a shout out to Bailey Wood Financial Group, our presenting sponsor of the show. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com for their 5-star customer service. Whether you're looking to refi, rates are starting to climb down again. So if you got in when it was peaking 7.5%, and you want to get a rate looked at, BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME. But most importantly, we're heading into the spring, slow as that process is, home buying season. Get that pre-approval for your home mortgage before you enter the market so you are ready to pounce when a listing that you love becomes available. BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME for our friends at Bailey Wood Financial Group. And Jake, you always say this, once you get the home with Bailey Wood Financial Group, renovate it with our friends at Chateau Kitchens, right? In-home transformations is what they are in the business of at Chateau. At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures. You don't even have to take our word for it. ChateauKitchens.com to get your project started. They've done a basement. They've done a bathroom. They've done a kitchen. So they've done everything for our house and makes it livable and beautiful and unique and awesome. They have a designer that will work with you. We had Victoria for a couple of projects. We had Megan for a couple of projects. And then they have a project manager. It's been Ryan for us for all 3 projects, who takes you every step of the way. So picking out everything from the hardware on the doors on your cabinets to picking out the tile and anything else, the flooring that you want for each individual room. Chateau Kitchens helps you with that along the way, and their designers are fantastic, and they give great advice. Again, ChateauKitchens.com to start your project, and they are our sponsors of Buy It or Bold Leap. Jake, statement number 1, the NBA will always have teams that tank regardless of how the lottery is structured. Buy It or Bold Leap.
I buy that. I mean, they can come up with different plans, but it's just a reality. And this is not the first time we've had this conversation, right? First time it's been topical or relevant, perhaps here in Central Indiana, but this is an annual thing where people complain about it, and it's just going to always be there, especially there's kind of no way around it.
Teams
right?
are always looking for an edge. It's kind of like, can you eradicate cheating? Can you eradicate college sports payments being on the up and up?
I mean, Derek,
you can't. You can police it the best that you can, but you can't force compliance.
Remember, I mean, there was a time when everybody was shedding salary because they were all going to get into the LeBron sweepstakes.
Remember that one summer where like Timofey Mozgov and Solomon Hill got like huge contracts?
Brian Cardinal got a huge deal.
That was crazy stuff. Yeah, I mean, I buy it as well. But I am not in favor of getting rid of the draft. That idea just makes me uncomfortable. I
would agree with that.
I think it would do some real harm to the foundation of
28 players were signed by the Los Angeles Lakers yesterday. Yeah.
I'm not like a big market, small market guy, and a lot of times I actually defend big market teams, but that whole situation does not sound like it would be competitively balanced.
Yeah, that's fair.
Statement 2, the Colts won't have to use the franchise tag on anyone. Buy it or bold bleep.
I'm going to say that's bullshit. So I'm going to say they use it on Alec Pierce. Although it does appear as though he's close to – I mean – will they stick with it? I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if they initially report that's what they're doing.
I'm going to buy it that they don't use it. I think they have talked about Daniel Jones like it's a fait accompli, so I think they're going to do everything there. And they know because of the situation with Michael Pittman Jr., they can't possibly let Alec Pierce walk out the door. Right. So I think they're going to be very aggressive and not lowball him, not do what the Pacers did with Miles Turner. I think they are going to go out there with an aggressive number and get him signed. Finally, Jake, statement number 3. Sorry, I have an itch on my eye. The Winter Olympic events are cooler, not cooler by temperature. Don't make a corny joke here. Are cooler than the Summer Olympic
I would
ones.
agree with that. I think it's more intriguing because it's stuff that you just see less regularly. There are fun. I really
there are some
enjoy,
weird summer ones.
Yeah, handball is really
Trampolining.
cool in summer, but summer feels a little bit more just like the X Games, which is weird because snowboarding is such a big part of that. But no, I really like the winter.
I mean, simple
although
answer
Derek,
is,
admittedly, if you were to ask me during the Summer Olympics, I'd probably say no. I really prefer the summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, simple answer though is buy it just because the Summer Olympics don't have anything that compares to the luge. I mean, that is just insane to me. The luge is just insane. Yeah, any of that
either
stuff.
one.
But like any
The
of that stuff is
bobsled?
just it's unbelievable.
Now,
to me.
can I ask a dumb question? The bobsled, the luge, and the skeleton.
Yeah,
Do they use the same track for all three?
I think so.
Okay.
It looks like the same track.
What if you're the last guy to go? Does the ice get like roughed up?
Here's $1 million or $1 billion ID for you. Same thing, luge track. But could you somehow put padding on it so people don't get maimed or killed, and then you can send people down, and then they can you recreationally do a bobsled run or do a luge run and not die?
I think you can do it. A lot of places, a lot of like in Colorado.
Yeah.
In the summertime, they have like little basically wheeled carts that you can ride down.
Oh, cool.
In the same form, yes.
We'll ask Shannon if she wants to go out there. We've been meaning to take a vacation with Shannon and just kind of hang out and do cool stuff. She's from Colorado. She's just the coolest. She has court seats. Really cool person. We're happy to have her in our lives.
I'm unaware of this desire to take her on vacation.
Go see the triplets. Hang out. I'm a triplet.
Listen to you.
So I can go and do that. Thank you to our great sponsors of this show, our friends, obviously, at Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing. Come see them at 42nd and Boulevard, hoagiesandhops.com for catering options and more. Of course, our friends at the Horizon League, March 8th through 10th for the Horizon League Basketball Championships, just a few blocks away at Corteva Coliseum, presented by Barbasol. Our friends at IU Indy Athletics, IUIndyJags.com.
Saturday, West
tickets.
Indy Racket Club, free tennis.
That's
Saturday
awesome.
at noon.
Chateau Kitchens as well. They're in the business of in-home transformation, chateaukitchens.com, and, of course, the presenting sponsor of the show, Bailey & Wood Financial Group. For Jake, I'm Derek, and the rest of the ISC crew. We will see you next time right here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood,